is the seat that goes back and forth in the Texas Senate. Democrats think this is their year. This morning, the two women running for the party nomination debate in studio. Land Commissioner George P. Bush was on the other side of an issue from Governor Abbott. But Bush quickly changed his mind. Did he get a talking to? The state's biggest business lobby backs Angela Paxton and Craig Estes. But how much clout might that bring this cycle? And Dallas County Republicans suing to get 128 Democrats thrown off the ballot. State Senator Royce West in studio on why he is not worried.
From WFAA TV, this is Inside Texas Politics with Jason Whiteley.
Good morning. We begin with a debate. Two Democrats running for the Texas Senate District 10. It is most of southern Tarrant County, including downtown Fort Worth, part of Arlington, Bedford, Colleyville, and Southlake. This is a swing district currently held by Republican Connie Burton, one that Democrat Wendy Davis, though, gave up to run for governor. Here are the two Democrats running in the March 6 primary. Allison Campolo, our researcher there on the right, getting her PhD in veterinary biomedical science, and Beverly Powell, a local businesswoman and former school board president in Burleson. Joining the questioning, as always, is Bud Kennedy of the Star-Telegram.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in. Full table here.
Thank you very much for having us this morning.
Allison, let's start with you. Your opponent vastly outraised you. She has a lot more money on hand. How can you overcome that?
Well, by being pretty efficient. You know, the amazing thing about these races is that you don't need that much money when you're not paying millions to consultants, when you're not going to start running these expensive TV ads in this expensive media market. When you focus on what really matters, which is knocking on doors, making phone calls, writing letters, and talking to folks where they are, you can save an enormous amount of money. And I'm extremely proud that we've spent a fraction of what our opponents have, and we've reached thousands and thousands of people so far. People are ready for a candidate who can cut the fat.
How would you respond to that?
Well, I would say that I have been in the community my whole life. I've spent many, many years building a network of really strong folks across our district. We are talking to people throughout our district in the community. We are making civic meetings, church meetings. We are meeting people where they live. We are door knocking. We're sending letters. And we are reaching both Democrats and independents all over our district. We're really satisfied and happy with where we are in our campaign.
Ms. Powell, I want you to explain something that's still floating out there online from even before the filing began. You voted in Republican primary elections as a Democrat. Why?
Well, not to add too much levity to this, but I would assume that I've probably voted in more Democratic primaries than my opponent. I have voted.
How about the Republican one, though?
I have voted in some Republican primaries because I live in a very red district. Often, if you want to have a say about the people that are elected to represent you, you have to do that.
This is kind of one of the issues between the two of you, because your campaign used a lot of Allison. Your campaign used a lot of progressive rhetoric, but it's a swing district.
Yes.
But the two Democrats that have served in this seat, Mike Moncrief and Wendy Davis, was elected as a business moderate who also had voted and given to Republicans before she came. Kind of a moderate Democrats. Tell me why you think the progressive Democrat can win this time, and tell me your view of the same breakdown between the progressive and the middle of the road Democrat.
Absolutely. So I think it's actually a real error in strategy to start running to the middle of the road, to start running a moderate. And we've seen across the country that the folks who are really turning out to vote, and that huge increase in voter turnout across the country in 2017 was by new voters, young voters, very progressive voters, people who of color who are now motivated that someone will truly represent their ideals as a progressive candidate. Who wants to leave their house on November 7th if it's going to be somebody who's going to fence it and not truly fight for what you need? And I think Tarrant County is an urban stronghold of tons of progressive voters who just haven't had somebody good to vote for yet.
And I believe that our voters are really tired of seeing people move as far to the left as they can or as far to the right as they can. They're looking for consensus builders and collaborators and coalition builders who can actually get something done that's meaningful for our voters.
You outraised Senator Burton in the latest fundraising tally, but she still has a lot more money on hand. If you win the nomination, where are you going to get the cash from? 4 years ago, this was a multi-million-dollar race.
It will be a multi-million-dollar race again this year. And we are working with contributors all over the state of Texas right now. We are making trips to Austin twice a month to visit with folks down there. Annie's List is a great supporter of our campaign and has endorsed me, and they are helping us in that effort, as are the folks who have endorsed our campaign. Wendy Davis, for instance, endorsed our campaign, as has Chris Turner, the Democratic caucus leader for the House, as has Congressman Mark Vesey. So we have lots of strong Democrats behind this race.
Let me ask about that one she brought up. Wendy Davis endorsed your opponent. Is that a good or a bad thing considering how mixed this district is?
It's an interesting move for sure, but I'm going to keep on focusing on the endorsements that I think really matter in this race, which is the voters. So I'm excited to get endorsements from folks like Jen Cohen from Bedford, who's a mom, or Nancy Stansberry from Benbrook, who's a teacher, or Dennis Sherrard, who is a business owner and cares about his mom's ailing health and what we're going to do with our seniors. Those are the endorsements to me that are the most important and the ones I'm looking forward to.
Looking at this race in the fall, when Senator Burton was elected, she went down and made it a point to wear boots on the Senate floor that said "Stand for Life." Her strong issues are Stand for Life
Yes.
and Second Amendment. What makes you think that your views are more appealing in Tarrant County than her views?
Well, I can tell you this, that we are in a time in politics in the state of Texas where our maternal mortality rate has risen to be the largest in the developed world. That's not a statistic that we can stand behind. And if you take a look at the efforts to diminish the health care options for women that have been going on since 2011. And you look at that rising maternal mortality rate, and along with it, our infant mortality rate is rising. You know that those efforts are not serving our public well. They're not serving women well, and they're not serving families well.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things I think Beverly and I are probably going to agree on pretty strongly. When Connie Burton wears those Stand for Life boots, she's talking about stand for life until birth. And we are working for all lives, before and after. And I think all of us want to see the abortion rate go down. And that's something I'm happy to talk with folks about. And if we want to reduce abortion, but we want to reduce it safely while reducing that maternal mortality, infant mortality, Medicaid births, unplanned parents, pregnancies, teen births, and so on and so forth, then we need to start giving women more options.
Well, we have less than 60 seconds here, too, and that's something you guys agree on. I want both of you to explain this. How are you different from each other for those Democratic primary voters who might be watching this and going to the polls on March 6th? Allison, we'll start with you.
Sure, and I think this is something we've touched on a little bit so far, but I tend to be a little bit more progressive, the more liberal option in this race. I've never voted in a Republican primary, and I've been fighting for progressive ideals since 2002. I was in the background when we flipped an entirely red county to blue, and I have that experience, and I'm ready to bring that to Tarrant County, and I know how to work with others. I've been working with Vanessa Adia or Beth McLaughlin or so many other great, amazing candidates in Tarrant County, and that's what we need in order to make this work.
You get the final word, Beverly.
And Jason, I will tell you that what I bring to this race is a lifetime of commitment to Tarrant County. I've been working with children. I've been fighting for for public school funding. I've been fighting for children. I've been fighting for college students as a trustee to Texas Wesleyan University, where I've been president of that board for the last 3 years. You can take a look if you drive down East Rosedale at the economic development that has occurred because of the efforts of our board of trustees at Texas Wesleyan, and those are the kinds of things I'm fighting for. Good jobs, good schools, an expansion of health care for women and children and the folks in our state that need our help.
All right, Beverly Powell and Allison Campolo, two Democratic candidates for Texas Senate District 10. Thanks for coming in. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you guys
Jason.
for having
Thank you
us.
both.
Thank you, Bud.
Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush got crossed with the governor last week. Bush called for a special legislative session so lawmakers could tap the rainy day fund to pay for Hurricane Harvey relief. It's something the governors tried to avoid. Within 24 hours, though, Bush said he misspoke. Said a special session is not necessary. Backstory here, Governor Abbott doesn't want to tap the rainy day fund for that relief. Instead, the governor has diverted money from other agencies to help the coast. Ross Ramsey is in Austin for us, the co-founder and executive editor of the Texas Tribune. Good morning, Ross.
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing well. So, bottom line question, did Bush get a talking to by the governor?
I don't know. All you can do is sit outside this thing and wonder how it got there. It's kind of a turtle on a fence post. He didn't get there himself. Bush came out and said, we need to have a special session to get money for this thing. That also would move accountability for the housing problems from the Land Commission to either the governor or the legislature in a special session. Very quickly, somebody got him word that they weren't going to do that. They found him some money for now, and he ate his words pretty quickly.
He sure did. A new study shows how Texas would look with different redistricting rules. Tell us who did the study and how that could change the state.
It's a news-centric data news site that called 538, and they did an analysis of the current plan in Texas for Congress, what it would look like if Democrats drew it, if Republicans drew it, if you drew districts so they were as compact as you could get, if you maximize the number of competitive districts and so on. And it turns out that the current plans in Texas are very close to what you would get if Republicans took everything that they wanted, which is largely what happened. You had a Republican legislature drawing. If you used one of the other methods, and this is under contest in the U.S. Supreme Court, you might get considerably different maps.
I want to ask you, too, about the state's first legal cannabis crop just harvested. The program starting out small, not many prescriptions yet. Is there going to be a market here after all?
There might be for medical marijuana. This is non-intoxicating cannabis oil that's used for epilepsy and other diseases. The state finally got it through with support from some very conservative Republicans, including Stephanie Click up in Tarrant County. Yeah. And they're going to try this and see how it goes.
Good deal. Ross, back to you in just a moment. Thank you. The FBI has mired itself in politics, having to explain how it lost thousands of text messages, then found some of them. Still, Debbie Georgiadis from 660 AM The Answer says the revelation rightfully raises questions.
Something very sinister seems to have happened inside the FBI. There is credible suspicion that the FBI shielded Hillary Clinton and President Obama from prosecution for endangering national security secrets, spied on President Trump and his team, and used shoddy opposition research to deceive the FISA court into issuing warrants to permit that spying. Text messages appear to reveal a plot inside the FBI to undermine President Trump. 5 months of text messages between 2 key FBI figures are missing. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence is set to vote soon on whether to release a memo that summarizes the scope of the alleged wrongdoing inside the FBI over protests that the American people cannot handle the truth. We can handle it. We cannot handle surrendering the integrity of the FBI to those who have power to abuse it. I'm Debbie Georgiadis, and this is my voice, my opinion.
Republicans question the candidacy for dozens of Dallas Democrats, asking a court to kick them off the ballot. State Senator Royce West leading the defense is in studio. And President Trump's deal for Democrats on those dreamers that sparked Flashpoint this morning. Inside Texas politics back in 3 minutes. First, your Sunday Funnies.
I am hosting the Oscars again this year, but I think they missed on one category in Best Picture. Nothing against the movies on the list, but to me, this was the best picture of 2017. That's right. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, staring directly into the eclipse they told us not to look at.
No, a cheeseburger and a free shake.
That's my kind of deal, because I also am both hot and cool.
Okay. How are you hot? Okay.
Get a free small classic shake with a cheeseburger or a foot-long coney. This is how you Sonic.
Hyundai has an all-wheel drive SUV for every stage of your life. Urban adventure? That's Tucson. Taking that next step? Check out the Santa Fe Sport. Full-time chauffeuring? Your 7-passenger Santa Fe awaits. And with America's best warranty, whichever stage you're in.
You just saved me from getting a minivan. Give him some love.
Better is the reason to buy Hyundai. Now, get up to $3,000 total savings on the Santa Fe Sport. Or 0% APR plus $1,000 bonus cash. Visit buyhyundai.com today.
Ready? It's happening right now at Rooms to Go. Pick from 100 beautiful rooms, each under $1,000. Picture it, your home, fully furnished in your style. With living rooms under $1,000, dining rooms under $1,000, bedrooms under $1,000, 100 stylish options under $1,000. And it gets even better. Finance for $20 or less per month, interest-free. Furnish your home to perfection. Now at Rooms to Go.
You can never be fully prepared for parenthood. Some things will be easy, but what if they're not? You don't have to have all the answers. Just this one, Cook Children's. Our pediatricians are with you every inch of the way, working with world-class specialists and researchers for the one child who matters most, yours. Because childhood should be simple.
Jumpstart the new year with a speed upgrade from Fios by Frontier. Get a year of upload and download speeds as fast as 150 megs for our usual 100 meg price, so you can upload pictures faster than Spectrum and stream movies on multiple devices, when you switch to Fios TV, Internet, and Voice for $80 a month with no annual contract. Plus, enjoy Amazon Prime for a year on us. Switch at fiosbyfrontier.com.
Oh, snap. Every truck guy has their own way of conveying powerful.
Yeah, boy. Kind of looks like a monster coming to eat you. Holy smokes.
That is awesome. Strong. You got the basic and you got the beefy.
I just think it looks mean.
Incredible.
No way. Getting goosebumps.
Get a total value of over $9,700 on this Silverado Texas edition. Plus, get an additional $1,000 down payment assistance when you finance with GM Financial. Chevy drives Texas. Find new roads.
These little chickies and little doggies are small, but they're intense.
Well, yeah, small and intense like my niece Hannah.
And you take karate?
Show them how intense you are. Now finish him.
Try our little doggies and little chickies for only $1.49. This is how you Sonic.
Republicans and Democrats are going to court before their voters ever go to the polls. The Dallas GOP says 128 Democrats should be kicked off the ballot, arguing the Democratic Party chairwoman did not sign applications like she was supposed to. In fact, there are multiple signatures which look like hers. State Senator Royce West, perhaps the dean of Dallas Democrats, is in studio to explain why he is not worried. First question, why aren't you worried about this?
Because it's a stupid lawsuit. It's very frivolous. I mean, if any lawyer of any experience whatsoever in election law would just look at the case law, they would know that this lawsuit is a frivolous lawsuit and ultimately will be kicked out.
I know enough about election law to know that people who have standing are the fellow candidates on that ballot, usually not another political party.
That's,
right?
That's exactly right.
And that's the argument the Democrats are making.
Well, yeah, I mean, the case law says that. In fact, this past week, the Fifth Court of Appeals, the Court of Appeals here in Dallas, kicked the lawsuit out as it relates to several candidates, basically saying, number one, it's moot. They brought a lawsuit, even if it was meritorious, at the last minute, and the court basically said that in election law, standing behind them, you can't bring lawsuits at the last minute, even if you had standing, in order to try to get someone kicked off the ballot.
And these ballots are already printed, but let me ask you this.
Sure.
Republicans argue the county party chair was supposed to sign all the candidate filings.
I don't care. Frankly, I don't care what they argue.
Well, here's my question, though. Why then are there multiple signatures that look like Carol Donovan's?
It's not relevant.
Why not?
Because it's not relevant, because the reality is, I think, and as I look at the law, what she's supposed to do as a chairperson is make certain that all I's are dotted and T's are crossed and certified to the Secretary of State that these are the persons on the Democratic primary ballot.
And so it sounds like the argument is that Democrats saying as long as she certifies it, that doesn't include a signature?
Well, you know, and I'm not going to sit up and tell you what the law is, because I'm being. Republicans are trying to kick me off the ballot. That's not going to happen, okay? But I'm going to leave it to my lawyers to argue the case, as opposed to me sitting up here trying to tell you what the legal argument is here today.
But what's your understanding of why there might be multiple looking Carol Donovan signatures on there? That's the red herring, the smoking gun that Republicans point to.
Well, again, it's not a smoking gun, because the reality is that they don't have standing even to challenge it. That's the whole thing. It's a party. Now, if it was a candidate on the other side, that's a different deal. And the fact is that you have, what the Republican Party has done, is taken the personal information of candidates and attached it to their lawsuit, which frankly, if you look at that conceivably is a criminal offense under Section 32.51 of the Texas Penal Code.
Your name is being questioned. You just mentioned that, too. Are you concerned?
About what?
About coming off the ballot. Republicans could succeed in this and bring you off the ballot?
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
This likely won't affect the March primary, could drag on to the November general election. Is this going to affect fundraising or turnout?
Well, you know, in fact, the reality is that I don't know whether or not there'll be an issue as it relates to trying to get this suit resolved prior to the primary or afterwards. I think those discussions are being held by the attorneys that are representing the parties in this particular case.
Senator Royce West, always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you. President Trump has a deal for Democrats. He says he'll give citizenship to those so-called dreamers, but he wants U.S. taxpayers to pay for that border wall that he promised and a big crackdown on other immigrants living here illegally. The president's proposal sparked Flashpoint this morning. From the right, Mark Davis of 660 AM The Answer. From the left, Rich Hancock of virtualnewscenter.com.
Thanks, Jason. Good Sunday morning, everybody. So I got my buddy Rich here, and a lot of people on Rich's side politically say, they've been telling me they have no idea what Trump's position is on DACA. If we only figure out what his position is on DACA. I'm no Einstein. I know what it is. Here it is. You ready? We will give you DACA recognition and a path to some kind of legitimization for the DACA kids if you give us wall construction, end to chain migration, an end to the diversity lottery. And so there you go. What's so tough about that? And is that a deal you think ought to be accepted?
Is it a deal Donald Trump is going to keep? Here's the simple reality. We know last week that Donald Trump sat in front of a room full of Democrats and Republicans and told the nation, I will sign anything you put in front of me. Then came acrimony, then came the Republicans over Democrats' private meeting wherein certain horrible words were spoken about Haiti and African Americans. We have now no idea what Donald Trump will in fact do because he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah,
including end the shutdown.
Yes, you know it. Here's the thing. In that room, he said, I'll sign what you bring me. They haven't brought him anything yet. The genius of the negotiating tactic there is, I'm going to make sure that what you bring me is something that I'm willing to sign.
They haven't brought him anything yet?
No.
Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin from Illinois brought him something last week.
Yeah, sure
they
did.
brought him something last week, which he said he'd sign. Why is it unacceptable?
Oh, no, you're not signing things in the office on the back of a napkin. We're talking about legislation that actually passes both houses of Congress.
He didn't accept what they brought him.
Exactly right. He said, this is not something I'm going to sign. It is, okay, we can go around this tree 14 times. He said, I'll sign what you bring me, but he's going to make doggone sure that they bring him something he will sign, which is, in a way, a type of genius. Stable genius, one might even say.
Something he will sign, like a border wall that we said we weren't going to have to pay for, and other things that we said we weren't going to have to pay for. It doesn't change that much for me. From the left, I'm Rich Hancock, virtualnewscenter.com.
From the right, Mark Davis, 660 AM, The Answer.
It's 2018, your last chance to save big on 2017 Nissans like Rogue Sport, featuring Nissan Intelligent Mobility with available rear cross traffic alert, blind spot warning, and automatic emergency braking, which can detect a potential frontal collision and help you stop safely. Automatic emergency braking, now on the Nissan Rogue family. Hurry in for guaranteed savings and bonus cash. Save up to $4,500 on the 2017 Rogue, or lease the Rogue family for $159 per month.
The countdown for the big game is on. Get super savings at Nebraska Furniture Mart. Start with free Heritage Pizza and 36-month financing with qualifying Samsung, Sony, and LG TVs. Score a $100 discount on professional TV installations, $299 or more. Take 10% off daylight screens with qualifying projector purchases. All JBL soundbars on sale, like this one for $199.99. Free delivery on qualifying HD TVs. Shop Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Come on in for a chorizo taquito with cheese. It's only here for a limited time.
Chorizo goes perfect with anything. Oh, yeah.
It's bold. It's just the right amount of spice.
You gotta go bold for breakfast.
The chorizo, the egg, the cheese, everything about those ingredients are special. So it's just like what Mom used to make, actually. If someone is cooking chorizo for you, they love you a lot. This feeling is great. I feel like a kid again.
If you've never had chorizo, you've got to try it.
Kickstart your day with the chorizo taquito from Whataburger. Hope to see you soon.
It all starts with a tree. Every element is done with purpose. Every detail crafted with care. This is custom made for you. A place to call home. A community that stitches together the most fun, the best food, a love of fitness, and above all, friends. Perfectly placed on the banks of the hill country. Kissing Tree is here. Pull on your boots and visit us in San Marcos. Schedule your tour at kissingtree.com.
Here's to the longest 8 seconds in sports. May your ride be true. Boot Barn, proud to be a sponsor of the world's greatest rodeo.
There's a whole secret society out there that craves life beyond the civilized world. If you know what we're talking about, you're in. Equipped with Toyota Safety Sense Standard, the virtually indestructible new 2018 Tundra and Tacoma.
Right now, qualified buyers can get 0% APR on Toyota trucks. Hurry in today. Toyota, Let's go places.
Time now for a Reporters Roundtable to put the headlines in perspective. Bud and Ross both still with us. Ross, will start with you. And the TAB, Texas Association of Business, the state's biggest business lobby, endorsing Angela Paxton over Philip Huffines, and Craig Estes from Wichita Falls over Patrick Fallon. How much clout is that going to bring this cycle?
Well, I think it helps the candidates that they endorsed. You know, Angela Paxton is on the other side of a lot of issues from TAB. This helps bolster her on that side. Craig Estes is in a real fight because his geographic center has moved away from Wichita Falls, where he lives, and more into Collin and Denton County. So I think every little bit helps for these guys.
You know, Philip Huffines criticized Angela Paxton right away, and Angela Paxton actually put out a statement saying that she didn't ask for the business endorsement. She's had to kind of separate from it. But the difference is clear. I mean, Angela Paxton probably would be more amenable to some business incentives than Huffines would. It's understandable why the business lobby would support her.
Ross, we just had State Senator West on a moment ago with the Dallas County Republicans suing to wipe 128 Democrats off the ballot. Tell us what the GOP's move with this is.
Well, if you can't do it at the ballot, you can do it in court sometimes. If they could knock off 120 plus candidates in one fell swoop, that's like a sweep in an election. It's a fast way to do it if it's legal. As Senator West says, you know, there are some questions about whether it's legal or not, but if you're on the downside of an election cycle, you try everything you've got available.
You know, there's not a clear enemy for the Republican Party in this election. They can't say, oh, that dirty Obama, or oh, that dirty Hillary. So now generally the message is, oh, those dirty Dems. And so here's a way to raise legal issues and just make people think that there's some sort of horrible corruption. You know, it sounds like something that the Democrats usually are allowed to decide on their own. It sounds like something in general that the courts wouldn't intervene in this close to an election.
Wow. Congressman Joe Barton, Bud, he's speaking out in favor of Dreamers. He's upset that people running to replace him don't support a deal on DACA. Is that seat moving farther to the right, and how's that going to play in November? You
know, I covered a campaign forum last Saturday in Arlington. We had 9 of the candidates there for Joe's seat, and they all railed against DACA and Dreamers. They said insulting things like, I like to dream too, or let them go back and dream in their own country, or they just were really just derisive and snide in a way that you don't hear members of Congress being on either side. And Joe called and said, I want to talk to you. And Joe did a column and talked about how it's important to keep the Dreamers. I'm afraid because of the primary season, that seat may move further right.
Final word, Ross, on this.
Well, you're in a Republican primary season, and they're going to run to the right to win in that small audience of people who vote in March in Republican primaries, and then presumably either run back to the middle for the general election, or as Bud says, put themselves at risk of losing what has been a Republican district to the Democrats.
And it's likely to be a tight one as well.
It's majority minority and 40% Hispanic.
Wow. Gentlemen, thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching as well. Bud, Ross, and I will see you again next Sunday. Hope you have a good week.